Noticing if there is any agitation in the body or calmness without really any preference. So without choosing one over the other, but just noticing. And just letting anything from the moment before just really slowly and gently fading away from the focal point. Let's see if we can just allow it to just fly away. The to-do list, the worries, conversations, meetings. Just allowing it all to fade away. Pretending that we can pack it all just in a little box and allowing it to fly away just for this moment. Just noticing how that flying away of all the things that you brought, all the things that were still here. Noticing how that feels to just let go for now. Nothing to do, nowhere to go, but just being here right now at this moment. And allowing the attention to just rest right here in this breath, in this body. Starting by noticing how the body is positioned, whether you're lying or sitting. Becoming aware of temperature. And what if you can just notice temperature without having to do anything about it? What if you could just notice sensation with kind curiosity instead of pushing it away, instead of resisting it? And as you expand your attention, just noticing if there's any tension, any tightness anywhere. And if you decide to let go of any tension or any tightness, making that also a mindful moment. Noticing when that tension lets go. Noticing if it still wants to stay here. The invitation to step away from time, the invitation to step away from scheduling. Inviting yourself as if it was you inviting a friend. Inviting this friend into a nurturing moment. What is it that you need right now? Are you comfortable where you're sitting? Are you comfortable where you're lying? Do you need to adjust your pose? And any adjustment that you make, making it fully conscious. Noticing first what is needed and then making a decision to move or adjust. Allowing this breath to connect you to everything else that is nurturing for you right now. Perhaps connecting to water, a river flowing and breathing as well. Maybe the stillness of a lake, the quietness of the stars at night. This world that is breathing with you at this moment and for you at this moment. Maybe the nurturing image of a tree and its shade in a summer day. And instead of trying to imagine or trying to visualize this, just noticing that connection, being part of this world, right where you belong. If you're sitting with your feet on the ground, knowing that your energetic field is deeply connected to the earth, the soil, the roots of the trees, held in every step you make. And if you're lying down, the same is true. Allowing the earth to cradle you, to hold you, to nurture you. If there is anything that the mind is still holding on to, anything that is not nourishing right now, just noticing that, noticing that grasping, and really gently and calmly, just bringing your attention to this, which nurtures you and nourishes you right now. Breathing with the world, breathing with nature. All breathing together as one body, right in this moment. And if you're noticing that you're forcing the breath or controlling the breath, seeing if you can just allow the body to breathe, letting go of any control, any forcing, but instead paying attention to this forcing itself, to what it feels like when you're controlling, when you're forcing, when you're trying to make things happen. And then allowing the breath to just come back to its normal rhythm. This body doesn't need any help with it from you to breathe. It breathes all on its own. This is one thing you don't have to worry about. Not right now. If you're here, you're breathing. Acknowledging that it's normal for the mind to wander, to tell stories, to try to go back to the planning or the doing. So when that happens, seeing if maybe you can come back to the breath by taking a deeper than normal breath, maybe a couple of them or a few of them, until the body just starts acknowledging that you're paying attention and allowing this attention to just settle right here in the breath without you having to do anything about it. Now, very gently at your own pace, just shifting your attention and bringing your attention to this body once again. Just noticing this body. If you're noticing a sensation that might be overwhelming right now, or noticing the body might be too much for this moment, you can always go back to the breath and stay there. But if you're with me, just noticing this body and seeing if there's an area of the body that is soothing, that feels nurturing right now. And this might be the shoulders when they're dropped, the jaw when it's released, the teeth and the mouth when it's just a little bit slightly open, even. Whatever that might be to you, just noticing that. Then, if you can just rest your attention right in this area that has already let go for you. Following on the body's lead at this moment. Whenever you notice the mind again distracted, as is bound to happen, just bringing your attention right back to this area of the body. Perhaps the bottom of your feet connecting to the ground, to the earth beneath. Perhaps the releasing of any tension in the body, dangling of the arms, the hands touching, whatever it might be for you. Just seeing if you can just stay right here, allowing this part of the body to support you right now, to nurture you. And whenever you're ready at your own pace, we're going to shift the attention again. This time we're going to be open to sound. If you're wearing noise canceling headsets, then just noticing the silence, the static, or anything that you're perceiving as sound or absence of sound, without looking for anything in particular, without glorifying one sound over the other or choosing. Just noticing all sounds that you might be aware of right now in this moment, pleasant or unpleasant, or neutral. And as sounds come to your awareness, just noticing their quality and noticing how you respond to them. The same with silence, the absence of sound. Noticing how the body feels. Noticing how does it feel in your heart. Noticing if some cause agitation or overwhelms and maybe others don't. So just holding all sound right here in this moment. No need to label it, no need to have a story behind it, but just noticing sound. And then if there's a sound that just seems pleasant at this moment or nourishing, seeing if we can just allow the attention to just rest right there in that sound. And the mind is bound to get distracted, wander away. That's okay, just noticing that and bringing your attention right back to sound or the absence of sound. Noticing the pleasant sounds that might be here and just focusing on one, allowing the sound to nurture you without looking for anything in particular, but allowing the sound to guide, allowing the body to receive. Wendell Berry, in his poem, The Peace of Wild Things, says, "When despair for the world grows in me, and awake in the night at the last sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things who do not tax their lives with forethought or grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For the time I rest in the grace of the world, and I am free." So as we come to the end of this practice, maybe just taking a moment here. Notice the energy in the body. To breathe in calmness and breathe out stress. To breathe in nurture and breathe out chaos. And then just allowing the body to move or shift in a way that feels right to you, in a way that is nourishing. Maybe stretching a little bit. Yeah, taking your time, listening to your body, seeing what it needs. And if moving from that place of informed consent from the body. How does it want to move? How does it want to stretch? Whenever you're ready, if your eyes are closed, just opening the eyes and looking around, noticing what's here, really seeing. Yeah. And then maybe allowing for a smile to come in if that feels right, naturally. Not in response to anything, just allowing the body to guide on how it feels. So I'd like to first thank some of you for letting me know that I was muted and that my camera was off. I think it accidentally, my finger just slipped and turned the camera off for a little bit there. Um, and I muted my microphone also because there was noise, and then I forgot to unmute myself. So thank you. And you might have guessed it. Our class for today is a nurturing practice. It's about nurturing ourselves, and it's about noticing, what do you do to nurture yourself? What gets on the way of you nurturing yourself, right? So to nurture oneself could mean to care, to attend, to notice, to see what you need, right? It's an act of self-care, self-love. And we could say that even this time that you put aside every Friday to meet is an act of self-care. So as I was preparing the class for today, I remembered this cartoon that that used to play a lot when I was little. I grew up in the 80s, and there was a cartoon called The Tasmanian Devil. We used to call him Taz as well. And it was portrayed by really a Tasmanian animal. But it was interesting, always interesting to me, because he was characterized by moving really fast, kind of like a tornado. He will move really fast and eat everything on its way, right? And so I thought about it today. I thought about this character, and I thought about the many times that this character shows up in my life. And I've learned to identify this tornado energy sometimes that comes in. And I don't know if you can relate to that, when a lot of thoughts come in, when the mind feels that it's not at ease, when there's a lot of agitation in the body, right? It almost feels like there's a tornado coming in and just grabbing everything. We can't focus on one thing, for me, it happens in that way. And if you've ever been diagnosed with ADD or ADHD, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you've ever also had any anxiety or worried about anything, you probably know what I'm talking about as well. It's this thing that just consumes you. And so it's been helpful for me, and I thought I might share this with you, to identify it as TAS. This energy is just an energy that comes in, and sometimes I can even spot it with others. So I might go in a room, and I have this like ongoing joke with even people that I know in my household, and I'll just say, "Oh, Tass is here," when I notice that somebody's like completely, in this doing mode, just doing, the next thing and the next thing, and it never ends, and talking and talking really fast. Tess is in the room. So it's this like little bit of a tornado energy that just comes in. But what was interesting about this character is that there was only one thing that would actually calm him down and nurture him, and that was music. And so today's class is about nurturing, and we can't really nurture ourselves unless we practice our mindfulness, right? In our practice, we learn to tune in, we learn to notice. If we don't notice when we have this energy, we don't notice when we're in doing mode, then we can't take care of ourselves. So that's the basis of everything, as I always say. It's mindfulness, and this practice is the basis of everything. We must notice first so we can take care of ourselves. So noticing this energy when there's agitation in the body, and you hear me constantly talk about agitation, and we can notice it by the breath going faster. We can notice it by our heart beating faster. Tension or tightness could be a form of agitation. And so every time we notice this, and I've even, I think, mentioned sometimes that, when it's towards the end of class and there's very little time and I might start speaking fast and I'll just say I'm speaking really fast because we're kind of running out of time now. But just noticing these things is when the energy shifts in the body, when there's agitation, when we start talking really fast, when the mind is going from one thing to another. Even during conversation, right? I notice that when I am engaged in conversation with, people that are close to me, there's constantly this like going from one thing to the other. There's no real conversation. It's just random things that are being expressed. And I call that Taz. I have to cough and say like Taz is here, even in conversation, comes in and just like a tornado takes everything on its way, wants to absorb it all. And so I thought I wanted to share this with you because it's very important, I think, at least for me, to be able to notice this, to notice when I am not nurturing myself. And in those moments, here is like, what can I do for myself? And so there's some practices that could be helpful, right? The meditation we did today was mainly just a nurturing meditation that you can do at any time. And I'll be sharing that. That's why these sessions are recorded. But noticing also what else can help you, right? The practice of gratitude, for instance, can be really helpful. Just being grateful, noticing, again, mindfulness to notice what's happening in the day. What is something that you're grateful for, right? It could be walking, taking a walk, noticing earth around you, noticing nature. It could be talking to a friend, talking to somebody that you love. For me, that's often my grandmother. I like talking to her, and yeah, I usually reach out to her and just listen and learn. But you might have a person that that you reach out to. You might have someone. And if no, then there's also music, right? Just like the Tasmanian devil, he would only come down with music. Music works for me too. So sometimes it's music. Could be uplifting, could be relaxing, could be soothing. So there are many things that we can do, and I'll be really curious to know what do you find that is nurturing? What do you do to nurture yourself, to take care of yourself? And also, yeah, what might get on the way of you nurturing yourself, right? What are some things that get on the way? So, I'd love to just hear from you and see how that lands for you and what comes up for you, and yeah, just noticing what really gets on the way for you, or what do you do? So, we're gonna shift gears here a little bit, but before we do that, I'd like to just again, practice is nurturing. And for me, is that gratitude. And every Friday when I'm with you, I'm deeply grateful to be here, to be among all of you and your wisdom to learn together. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your practice today.